At Rubber Band, we empower each other through positivity, kindness, and practical advice. Join a community of thousands of peers who understand the unique challenges you face. Rubber Band. Company agnostic, low ego, high empathy, always supportive. Finding the right people is tough enough. Then onboarding them effectively, managing them well, and supporting their progression is a challenge, which is why we're delighted that this podcast is sponsored by Avature. From sourcing to onboarding, talent mobility to performance management, Avature delivers the full spectrum of recruiting and talent management tools that leading organisations need. With Avature, you can manage the entire talent lifecycle from a single platform. Visit avature.net and discover why Avature is trusted by 110 of the Fortune 500. Are you a founder, a HR solo operator, or the leader of a HR team? Do you feel like you're constantly drowning in back office tasks? HR, payroll, onboarding, IT, it never seems to end, right? Well, it's time to simplify. With Rippling, imagine managing everything for your local and global workforce in one single platform. That's right. HR, payroll, onboarding, even IT, all seamlessly integrated. No more juggling multiple vendors or dealing with frustrating tech issues. Rippling does it all effortlessly. Free yourself from the admin grind and give your employees an experience that they will love. And here's the best part. For our Rubber Band listeners, Rippling is offering an exclusive deal. Get your first 3 months for free. Yes, you heard that right. Just visit rippling.com/en-au/rubberband to claim your offer. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to streamline your entire operation with Rippling. Rippling, one platform, every workforce needs it. Welcome, listeners, to today's episode of the Rubber Band podcast, where I am joined by special guest Jody Smith for the songs that shaped my career. Now, before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I live and work on, the Wadawurrung and Dja Dja Wurrung people. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waterways. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and I would like to extend this to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Welcome to the podcast, Jody Smith. How you doing?
Hello. Thank you for having me on. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm really excited as well. And you want to know why? When you agreed, you didn't take too much arm twisting, but when you decided I should pay to be a guest today, I was like, Jody's is going to be awesome because you just strike me as being really creative, right? Like you're a creative person.
Oh yeah.
And I just can't wait to hear about. You've got an amazing career. I can't wait to hear what songs you've chosen and to go on this journey with you. But
how exciting!
How exciting, right? But before we do that, what's happening in your world, Jody? What's going on in the land of Jody Smith?
Oh well, so I've moved into a startup business. We are Charlotte, so been there for about just under 6 months actually. So coming from government, I've been in government for a really long time, leading TA teams, and then I've gone into a project role at We Are Charlotte, and I'm loving it. But it is absolutely insanely hectic and fun and lots of creativity, and it actually just tickles all the right parts of my brain. I get to work with really great clients and do just really cool stuff. It's great. I love it. It's fab.
It is, right? And I interviewed Natalie Colton recently. Like within the last few months, and likewise, like she described it the same way, like just really, really rewarding work, really challenging, right? Like good challenge, and fun and creative. For anyone that missed that episode, tell me about We Are Charlotte. What do you do?
I will. And yeah, I listened to that episode. It was really good. And even I learned things about Nat that I didn't know. So I was like, oh, I should have known that already. I'm sad that I never asked her about it. But she's got a really great background. But I think that's like the beauty of We Are Charlotte. Is like there's heaps of us here that like have just really diverse sort of backgrounds. So yeah, so We Are Charlotte, we do outsource sort of fractional, although we've kind of our CEO used to say like it was fractional before fractional was cool. It's very much like consulting. I'll tell you what I do. So I go into businesses for a certain amount of time per week and help them with like people initiatives and projects that they haven't had a chance to get off the ground. I could come in and I kind of apply that design thinking methodology and do a lot of current state research initially, and then go into here's what people are saying, here's what the real problem is, and here's how we're going to fix it for you. So it's really just what I love doing, but just on a bigger scale with more clients. So, and a real range of clients too. We've got some in government, some in financial services, some in startup design space. So yeah, it's just so good for anyone that likes variety. It's like me, I just love it. It's the best.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Does
And I
it like
can.
describe it? That's kind of what we do. I'll tell you what we do as well. In like obviously Nat is in the TA space, so she's doing talent. But yeah, I'm in the people side of the business where I do people projects, and then we also do people partnerships. So we have kind of like BPs that work in the business as well on a part-time basis or an expansion basis. So if a team, like an in-house team, needs the 3 months, they're just really busy, they need someone to come in and help them with that stuff, we can come and do that. Or yeah, just a small business that doesn't have a need for a full-time HR person, they can get us in. So yeah, it's very cool. We do a lot of different things. It's great.
You do. And I think what you were doing when you were talking fractional earlier, I don't know, I've got a funny relationship with the word fractional because it's becoming really overused.
Yeah.
Like even people that are just working part-time, right, are using it. I think you're doing more than fractional. So there's a
Oh,
creative challenge.
totally.
Yeah, come up with a new word. I reckon you're the person that could do it.
Yeah, that's true. Get me in a room with a whiteboard. Maybe I'll have a I'll have a go.
Design thinking,
Yeah.
get out the double diamonds, right? Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll double diamond it.
I reckon. I love design thinking. I use it as well.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Did you study design thinking, or have you learnt that on the job? Tell me about that.
So I learned when I was at LXRP, which is my last role, level crossing removal project, for people that aren't from Victoria. I was leading the talent team there and I was just doing projects. So I had like about 12 months where I had someone in my team leading the team for me while I focused on like project work. And yeah, part of that, I sort of said like I'd love to do a service design course just through Academy XI,
Mm.
just to kind of put some thinking behind the way that I was approaching things. And then, yeah, so they did that, and that just kind of tickled my taste buds. And now I've been accepted into the grad certificate at RMIT for service design. And I think I'm just going to keep heading on that path. How do I apply that service design thinking to people services, not just like kind of, or I guess you can apply the thinking to any type of service, but this is really the niche that I found that I love. It like kind of combines all the stuff that I love about people and talent into the stuff that I love about projects. So I've just found my little niche. I just love it. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. I found it a game changer as well. I studied design thinking at RMIT during lockdown,
Yeah.
virtually, and I use it. I would say I use it daily. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really transforms the way I work
Yeah.
and the impact of the work that I do. So I'm with
Actually,
you.
that's such a
It's
good,
awesome.
yeah, such a good way to put it. Is like it's the impact. It's like what's going to have the most impact, and how do you know? And I traditionally beforehand was just very much like a straight to solution mode, and I would get lots of excitement from fancy new systems. I've got that shiny thing syndrome. What's it called?
Oh,
Where I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
attracted to shiny things. I'm like, oh, let's get this thing in, with no basis behind why I wanted to do it. It just gives you that framework, and it's people can't argue with it because you go in, you're like, we've done the research, here's all the facts, and this is why we're doing this, and it just makes your life so much easier because you've got some evidence there to get some stuff over the line. So yeah, I agree. It's the best. I reckon everyone should do
Me too. Me
it.
too. Well, I can't wait to hear about your career and to hear your songs and for you to take me to those 5 moments in your career and why those songs have taken you there. But before we do that, I just want to ask you, how important is music in your life? Does it play a big part?
Massive. So my mood can change depending on what sort of music I'm listening to. I was thinking about this morning because I was like, if I'm having a really crap day and I put on a specific set of tunes, it turns it around, and vice versa. I could be having a very stressful day, and then stressful music comes on and just makes things worse. So I like so it's very important to me. I'm a big festival slash live gig goer. I'm going to Meredith at the end of the year.
Oh,
I
cool.
like to try and go every year. Actually, it's kind of the only one I go to, but I used to go to all the festivals in town when I was younger. I don't know how I afforded that, but somehow I made it there. So yeah, it's big. It's like kind of transformed, yeah, my entire life, and it can really change my mood. Yeah, to be honest. So it's short answer to your question is huge.
Yeah, and I find that, like where I'm working now, I'm working at Movember, but we have Spotify on a music pumping through the office at all
Yep.
times, right? And
Yep.
employees, we sort of select songs and put on our own little playlists and have a lot of fun with it. And we even have 30-second discos where the cranks up and
Oh.
we all jump up and have a good dance. But just having that, I haven't had music in the workplace for quite some time. And
Mm.
I really have felt my energy and my mood lift just
Yep.
from and also just like this, like being curious around. Oh, I wonder why someone chose that song to put on the playlist. I wonder where it's taking them. And
Actually, that is so good. That's such a good team
yeah,
bonding thing.
right. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And that's what this is all about. So, well, let's do it. Let's kick it off.
Yay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
let's go on your career journey. So, where are you taking me for song number
Okay.
one? What have you chosen, and where are we going?
So I'm going chronologically.
Okay.
Yes, chronologically. Where I'm. Oh wait, is chronologically from early days to now, or now to early days? Early days to now. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so yes, chronologically. So I'm going to start. I gave this so much thought over the weekend, Eden. I've like been not losing sleep as much, but like just, oh, what am I going to choose? So many songs. So the first one was that I thought I'd share is a song that reminds me of my time when I used to work at General Pants. So that was like one of my first retail kind of professional. Oh, not really. It wasn't office based, obviously, but I worked at General Pants for a long time back in the day, back in the Canberra days. I used to live there. And it was one of my first retail roles. And then eventually, when I got a office job doing data entry, which is what everyone's dream is their first job, official office job. Yeah, I just kept working at General Pants on the weekends because I just loved it so much. It was the best. This song is called "It's the Beat" by Simeon Mobile Disco, and we used to play that album just on repeat when it first came out. One of the guys in the store was just obsessed with it, but then I became obsessed with it, and then I was like, we have to play it again, and we'd play it from start to finish. And yeah, it's just a vibe, and every time I hear it, I'm like, that just takes me straight back to General Pants days, and that is still one of my favorite jobs of all time. I just still, whenever anyone says to you like, "What was your favorite job ever?" I'm like, I've had a really great career, but I can't stop thinking about General Pants and the time that I had there. And I think it was just early 20s, lots of fun. I loved all the clothes. I loved the people. It was just a vibe. It was the best. It was so much fun.
And when was that? Sorry, I know we don't want to give away ages and things like that, but what
Oh
was?
no, I'll tell you.
I hope that's
It's
okay.
too.
I just thought that was a terrible question to ask. But
It
yeah,
was the
when
late
was it?
2000s. So it was like 2007-ish to 2011-ish. So there was a period of time there where I did like I worked at General Pants and was slowly getting into kind of office work as well. And that is the time when I was just going to every single music festival that under the sun. Anything I could go to, I would go to. It was just that era of like, oh, my boyfriend and I talk about this all the time. It's like the era of like good music. Like I feel like there's good music now, but there's just a time there where like the dance and house scene was like super fun. So it was, yeah. So yeah, short answer to your question is between 2007 to about 2010, 2011.
And General Pants was cool as then. Like I used to
Yeah.
shop General Pants because I loved Subi at the time. It was
Yes.
the
Yeah.
only jeans that would make my ass look decent because I don't have one. And then it was kind of before the disposable fashion trend as well. Like we didn't really have
Yeah.
H&M here. I
Yep.
think Topshop came and is now gone.
When
So it was kind of the cool fashion,
it
and
was the cool place to go. And I
and
was
it
like,
always had that
yeah.
vibe, right? Fabulous
Always had a
music,
good vibe. I used to
the
work with a guy at
experience.
General Pets. Yeah, he would like, I just feel like the people there were just really, I don't know what it's like now. I don't shop there anymore. And part of me was like, is the clothing gotten worse? But then I'm like, I'm just getting old. I think I'm just getting old. I'm like not. But back then, I just loved the clothes, and it's so easy to sell something that you love because I was like, I just love it all. But yeah, there was a guy I used to work with there named Greg, and he used to hide. It's like to say hello to people. He would hide in the clothes racks, and then they'd come and look, and he's like, "Hello!" They'd like burst out, and it would just win everyone over all the time. He like immediately got all the sales because they were just like, ah. So I just worked with like a really eclectic group of people as well. It was like really awesome. And we used to go out after work on Fridays and like we'd come in hungover on Saturday. It was just like a real vibe, like hanging out with your mates, but like also making sales. It was really good.
Yeah, and we think we all had that in our retail career, like those of us who started in retail, like regardless of the coolness of the brands, but I think that vibe at that age and that moment in your career, and you're not taking things too seriously. You're there to have
Yeah.
fun with mates and make friends and show off your eclectic side and just really bond. And I think it's really helped us, those of us who have moved into the people field, those early days in our career, and that energy and that friendship and that curiosity around people and the authentic nature of people. So I love it. I'm going to pretend that I'm popping in to General Pants to get another pair of Subi cords. So let's start with song number 1. It's the Beat by Simeon Mobile Disco.
You know it's hard for the treble, two for the bass. It's the beat.
What? That was a great place to start, Jody. Thanks for taking me there. That's kind of got me up on my chair dancing, right? Like, where are you going? And I'm curious, how are you gonna keep that energy
Top
up?
it.
Or how are you gonna top it? Or are you
bring it down?
Yeah, what are you gonna do, Jody? I'm curious. Where are we going now? Where are you taking us?
So the next one is so we started at 2007 to 2011. In the year 2011, I moved to Brisbane and I had like a couple of months overseas and came back and was like, oh, I don't want to live in Canberra anymore. I'm a big girl. I'm going to move somewhere else. And I managed to get a job in Brisbane at Sunglass Hut and moved up there with no real support network, no house, no nothing. I lived in a motel for like 2 weeks while I tried to find a rental place and then found one. Anyway, yeah. So I was up in Brisbane, never lived out of home before, except for the like 2 to 3 months that I was overseas traveling. And found a job. It was kind of I actually don't know when Google Maps came out, but the song I'm going to choose is called Chicago. If You'd Leave Me Now, that song. The song's called If You Leave Me Now. Chicago is the band. But that reminds me every time I hear it, it's like my calm down song because I was trying to find my way to work and it was pre Google Maps and I got lost in the valley in Brisbane and I had a massive panic attack in the street because I was like, oh, I'm going to be late for my first job. This is awful. And then this song came on my earpods and it just immediately calmed me down. I was managed to like get my thinking in place and I was like, right, I can do this. I can logically figure out how to get into the city from here. So it's like my little calm down song, I guess. Like it's one that is always in all of my chiller playlists. Or if I've had a massive day and need to kind of unwind, I'll pop it on. Or if I can feel like a bit panicky coming on, like a bit of anxiety, I'll pop it on and it just immediately calms me down. It's so good. So my brain associates this song now with calm.
And I love it. Like I love those 70s bands as well. Like I love the use of strings and the vocals. Like there's always a lot of, really, really well crafted harmonies. And just it just gives you, I don't know, I get the tingles from some of those bands like Foreigner, Chicago.
Yes.
There's a warmth and a richness to their music.
Yeah.
I think they're really underrated too. I don't think we talk about those bands enough.
I agree. And I don't feel like there's any bands like that now where you hear it and it's like a warm bath and you're just like, oh, I'm so happy. Everything's fine. Yeah. The world is good. The world is fine. This is all going to be fine. I just feel like I don't know what it is about it. It just like immediately calms me down and it's just so chill and lovely. And now my neural pathways have like kind of changed to be like when it hears Chicago, everything's cool. Yeah.
Cool. So let's do it. We're going to play. And for anyone out there that's feeling a bit stressed today, here's your warm bath, right? And I'm going to remember this, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to use Chicago when I'm feeling that way, because I feel that way quite a bit. I'm always running, and I sometimes need to just slow down and calm down. So let's do it. Song number 2, If You Leave Me Now by Chicago. Loved that, Jody. That's I love it. I love it. How did that make you feel? You calm now?
Zen, very zen.
Oh my!
Yeah, it's the best.
We've just, we're in the zone.
Yeah.
So I've just got this feeling, though. You've got me all zen. What are you going to do with us now? Where are you taking us? Where's the mood going?
Time to go back the other way. So keeping on with my chronological order vibe, I've got 2011 to 2014 was when I was like peak Brisbane/Gold Coast gal, and I was going out all of the time. I was also working. I managed to find a job on the weekend at Universal Store, which I was like, surely this is like General Pants. And I was working there on the weekends, and also I just got my first job in recruitment. So I went into Julia Ross. If anyone remembers Julia Ross back in the day, I went in there to sign up for temp work, and they were like, "We have a job here," and I was like, "Oh, I'll have it." So yeah, I mean, obviously there was an interview and stuff, but yeah, just got a job in recruitment as a resourcer, and so I was like finally earning real adult money, and I was also working on the weekends and was just going out heaps, like 3 or 4 nights a week. So I was in I call it like my basic bitch era. Was definitely traveling up to the Gold Coast a lot because it was only an hour train ride away, and I had one of my friends was living on the Gold Coast, so we would go out there heaps, and that's what this song reminds me of, is Gold Coast clubbing, and it's Party Rock by LFMAO.
By LMFAO. That's a cracker. Well, tell me about when you started in recruitment. You had that meeting at Julia Ross, and they said, "I've got a job here," and you're like, "Yeah, why not?" What were you expecting? What did you think it was going to be, the industry, and what were your expectations? Or tell me about that.
Oh my gosh. So I feel like Julia Ross, if anyone knows Julia Ross back in the day, they ended up merging with Chandler McLeod. So I stayed with them for about 4 years during the merger. But the Julia Ross people that worked there were just so fancy and posh. And I remember seeing them like they were in heels and they had blazers on and stockings. And I was like, that's what I want. I want to do that. I don't know what that is, but that's what I want to do, is like just have. I was in it for the outfits, I think. So as soon as I got the job, I went straight to Q and like bought heaps of like really expensive, cute outfits and maxed out my credit card. And got some high heels and like just really wanted to look the part. So that was my dream. I didn't really care what I was doing. It was more to wear the office attire, I think, was my most exciting thing about getting that job. And being paid $50,000 plus super. Oh my God. That was like a 10K pay increase to what I was getting at my last role. So I was just like, oh my God, I'm so rich and also posh. So yeah, so it was very exciting. I loved it. And that's what I was thinking I was getting into, was something really posh and fancy, and then realized that a lot of that is just smoke and mirrors at the front of the office. So their office entry was always like really fancy and nice. And then as soon as I got out the back, it was hectic. And it was, we would have drinks on a Friday in the office, and they smoked cigarettes inside the office. And like, it was very loose.
It was very much
fun.
You know what? I'm going to look, this might be a bit of a controversial thing to say, but I remember when I worked in, retail, I was a florist until I was 30, but I used to look at office workers as you described, in the men in the power suits, the women in the heels, hair always immaculate, both, all gender, hair, there was this glamour for me.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to be you one day. And, I was in my t-shirts and, jeans that were covered in, slime and moss and all of that and water. And I always thought I had this dream that one day I would be like those people, just the way you described.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that glamour exists anymore. I
don't think so. And if it did, I would not fit in, because I'm definitely not glamorous now. I'm like the opposite. I definitely feel like, and I like when I think back to that time, I was wearing like a costume, like it was like almost like a costume I would put on, and it was like work Jody, and then on the weekends I was like trashy trash bag Jody. So like it was like there was no in between. And then sometimes they cross paths, like on a Friday night, I'd be out in my suit at the clubs, like,
Yeah.
with my compendium, which I used to carry around everywhere. So and yeah, it was so funny, and it was like you think it's glamorous, and then you get behind the closed doors. And I still always remember this. Like one time we used to take our clients, like I think it still happens, obviously, like we just take our clients Christmas presents, and our CEO had like I don't know how he got them, but he got heaps of crates of mangoes. And he was
Oh,
like,
no.
I guess because we're in Brisbane. And he was like, take a crate of mangoes to your client visits this week. And I had to walk up the hill. If anyone's been to Brisbane, like it's really hilly. And I had my heels and my stockings on, my blazer, and I had this like tray of mangoes walking up this hill and just absolutely dripping in sweat. And then I got to the client and I had to just sit downstairs and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be late. Because I just was so wet, like I was just like drenched in sweat with my tray of mangoes. But it worked. They loved them, so it was good.
We
But I
used to
just
do
feel like
cherries.
these are the unglamorous parts of the fancy life that you just don't
Right.
see.
That's right. And I remember, we used to do cherries, but I remember the same being in my power suits, right? And in Sydney particularly in the humidity and just being drenched in
Yeah,
sweat underneath. It all looked good from a distance, but believe me, you didn't want to get
disgusting.
too close. So
No,
yeah,
how?
maybe it wasn't
Yeah,
glamorous after all.
no. From far away, that's yeah. Up close, no.
Well, we're gonna do the vibe. We're gonna go there for your first recruitment role, and your I suppose the balance of that professional life and partying hard on the weekend, which I can relate to at this stage of my career as well. So I'm going to go there with you. Here we go with Party Rock Anthem by LFMAO.
Woo.
So I'm feeling my hangovers. Are you feeling your hangovers after that as well, Jodie?
Yeah, it's giving me immediate headache.
Same.
It's still such a banger though. Like I still feel really excited when I hear it, but I'm just like, oh god, the like vodka Red Bull hangover was like never good.
Never good, and I can taste the Red Bull. So thanks for that. But no, that was fun. I like going back to that stage of my career as well. I was a little bit
Yeah, me
fearless.
too.
It was all about fun, and it's very similar to when you were talking about general pants, right? I think when we first move into recruitment, there's so much going on. You meet so many people, both candidates, clients, and even the people you work with, right, and colleagues, and
Yeah,
people like us. You just have a
yeah,
ball, right?
yeah.
It's
It's a
just
good fit, and I feel like yeah, I found my industry. I was so excited when I got into recruitment. I was just like, I finally found something that like kind of is my thing, outside of retail because I also loved retail. So, um, yeah. So although there was many a boozy night, I just feel like I just had the best time in those early years, before I just became a serious lady. But yeah, those early years of recruitment are just all about fun and frivolity,
mm,
and making commission. I feel like, yeah, which makes me sound really salesy, which I am not at all. But that was the part I struggled the most with. But I ran a temp desk, so all the temp work used to just come in. I didn't have to do as much sales. I was just filling jobs, call center jobs, day in day out.
good fun. Good fun.
Yeah.
Wow, where are we going for song number 4? So you've taken us to the Julia Ross era. What's the next era? Where are we going
Oh.
now?
So Julia Ross merged with Chandler McLeod, and then I decided I think I've outgrown Brisbane. I'm ready to go to Melbourne. I had heaps of friends that lived down here because I grew up in Canberra, so heaps of my friends moved down. They either went to Sydney or Melbourne, and there was a few here. And I was like, I think Melbourne is my place. I'd come on a few visits. I had a great time, so I'm like, I'm going to move down. And they had a role in Chandler McLeod down in Melbourne office. So yeah, moved down with Chandler, which was awesome. And again, continued on the frivolities. Immediately settled into the team here, and made some really great friends. And again, had many a messy night out, which was super fun. Um, but I loved Melbourne. I feel like it was like entering my cool era, like going from my basic bitch era into my cool era where I was like, I'm too good for Brisbane now. Um, yeah, so the song I'm choosing is Tame Impala, and it's Let It Happen, the Soul Wax remix, which to be fair, came out. When did that come out? Like 2018, 2019 or something. But it does remind me of that time of like moving away from like that LMFAO era into the Soulwax era, which is like the cool techno / house kind of era for me. Yeah, so I'm entering my Melbourne era, which is the cool era, and I don't know. Yeah, that's just why I moved down. Actually, I'll tell you the story of when I was in Brisbane. The moment I knew I had to move was carrying on from the last story. I had a white shirt on and I was standing at the train station and I was so hot and sweaty. And this was just in the morning, like on my way to work. My shirt had gone see-through and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, that's it. And literally that day I went in the office and I was like, I would like to move to Melbourne, please. And and it just happened to line up fine, which is lucky.
Yeah. That's amazing. So you were able to transfer down, and there was that's great. What do you think that? I mean, Melbourne's known for its art scene and its food scene and music and culture, and that's where that coolness is, I suppose, with Melbourne.
Yeah.
Do you think your work became more cool? Like, were you still doing the same kind of recruitment, or did your work shift and you were doing different work? Like, tell me about that.
The work was the same. Initially, and then I did leave and go to a different agency after I got down here. But the work is very similar. I think that's how I just came, which I liked because I just came down and just slotted straight back in. I was still doing volume call center recruitment, but for new clients. And the people I worked with in my team were just so rad. Like they welcomed me with open arms. Yeah, like I said, I think this is probably a bit inappropriate to say, but on the first Christmas party that I was here, I'd only been here a couple of months, and I gave someone a piggyback and then fell face first and broke my nose. Work Christmas party, which was really embarrassing because I was only a couple of months in and in this new location and had to do the walk of shame on the Monday to the office with 2 black eyes and it just scraped up nose. Everyone was like, whoa. But it was just super fun. I don't know, even that is good. Like that's awful. But it was such a good memory. Like I still laugh about it. So that was what those times were like. So just running temp desk. I had like hundreds of temps out working and was just always all over town, just like going out to visit them and doing fun stuff. It was just really cool. And so I feel like that part of it was really cool. And then I went to about this time as well, like I left there and went to a small a really tiny, like 5-person digital recruitment agency. Which I didn't enjoy as much, I think was very different to what I'd come from. And so I ended up leaving there and going into internal recruitment and just by accident. And then I ended up there for the next part of my career. So this is to cover up until that point, up until I moved to internal recruitment. So this is the end of my era as an agency recruiter. Is this Soulwax remix of Let It Happen by Tame Impala.
Well, let's play it because it's that moment of transition, right? When you shift sides. So here we are, a great way to celebrate all of your experience in the agency world and your travels, and let's do it. So Let It Happen, the Soulwax remix by Tame Impala. So as we say goodbye to those agency days, the desks and the hundreds of temps all over, where are we going now? Where are you taking us, Jody, for your final song number 5?
So this one I'm just going to pretend, well, it kind of ties into it. So I was like, I'm going to pretend that COVID never happened, but it does tie in because I feel like it does summarize the years that were sucked up by COVID to become just one day. Like I feel like that pandemic was like a week, and because you know how your brain just because it was so much of the same, the brain's like, oh, that was only a week. But I I left agency recruitment, went into Department of Justice and started doing recruitment for the prisons, and then ended up moving into the team leader role there and led the prisons recruitment team for a couple of years. And I loved it. It was so good. I learned so much about recruitment, but like about prisons. And we used to go out to the prisons all the time, and I was like the life of the party. Every time I'd go to a party, my boyfriend was like, Jody goes out to the prisons all the time and she's seen all these like prisoners.
And that would have been the time Wentworth came out as well, right? Like
it was, I was living it. Orange is the New Black. Oh, Yeah, that's my life. Not really. Well, we did walk around heaps. We did heaps of prison stuff in the prisons, and we'd often have to take groups of like new recruits through the prisons, just make sure that they were comfortable walking through. But I built some really good rapport with people that worked out of the prisons as well, like heaps of the prison officers and the general managers and stuff. Um, so I love that. And then I ended up going into, went out to level crossings. Oh, where did I go first? Oh, no, major road projects first to lead their TA team, and then went over to level crossing. So to where I was before I joined We Are Charlotte, leading their TA team. So kind of it was also my career transitioned into leadership. My first TA like talent, like corporate leadership role was at Department of Justice, leading the prisons recruitment team. So this kind of summarizes that as well. I feel it's I'll announce the song so you know what I'm talking about, but it's Steely Dan, Reeling in the Years. And I just feel like now from that period of time until now it has just gone so quickly, like way too quickly for my liking, to be fair. But I've also just learnt a lot, and I have changed a lot, I think. Like if I think back to Jody that first entered the prisons recruitment team, and then to Jody now, a very different person. Same at heart, but I feel like the way I operate is just completely different.
I love that. And I love that, you talk about learning and growth the whole way through your career, right? And we do. I think the positions that we hold in our career, sometimes we underestimate the power that they have on us as people and how they do change. The Eden that was in his first agency job to the Eden at November is a very different Eden, right? And a lot of that is, shaped by the work that I do and the people that I meet, and the experiences that you have. And I completely agree with that. And let's play it. Let's summarize these your years in agency and, your amazing leadership experience and the journey to your amazing dream job at We Are Charlotte. So here we are with Reeling in the Years by Steely Dan. Oh, what an adventure. That was great, Jody. Thank you so much. I absolutely loved that. And I feel like I've got to know you so much more through this experience. How did you find it?
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I found it very stressful actually trying to find 5 songs that would summarize. There were so many. I had a short list. I cut it back. I had another short list, cut it back again to these 5. And then I was like, oh, there's so many more. I feel like I'm like doing disservice to all the others. So, but these I think these are just a good classic 5 songs that I think are not too weird and abstract, but just bring me back to when I hear them, just take me back to that time. And that nostalgia is kind of tied to all of them, I think. So as well as a whole bunch of other songs, but these really were like the key parts of my career. Yeah, they really earmark those. So I've really enjoyed it. So whilst it was stressful, I have really loved it.
I'm so glad, and I think it's so important, particularly in our industry and in loads of industries. But I'm gonna, this is an industry podcast for talent, and we don't pause and reflect enough, and we don't look back enough. We're always running, right? So sometimes, as we talked about early in this episode, is to pop that song on, listen to Chicago, and have that moment to reflect and celebrate. It is nostalgia, but we do amazing work. And the amount of people we help people every single day. We change lives as our lives change. So, Jody, this was amazing. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna log off, and I'm gonna put Chicago on. I'm gonna have a bath, and I'm gonna get down. Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful evening. Take care, Jody.
Bye.
Thank you.